The moment a man greets you, he tells you more than he realizes. Before words form, before logic steps in, his feelings show up quietly, subtly, honestly. When a man secretly likes a woman, his greeting changes. It becomes intentional. He may slow down, hold eye contact a second longer, or soften his voice. Even confident men feel a slight internal shift, because now the moment matters. You'll notice he becomes more aware of how he appears. He might greet you more warmly than others, ask a thoughtful question instead of a casual, "Hey," or seem unusually present. This isn't strategy, it's emotional investment leaking through behavior. Men don't do this consciously. Attraction makes them more careful, more focused, more tuned in. So if his greeting feels different, personal, or grounded in attention, that's not accidental. That's interest trying not to be obvious, and quietly failing. When we talk about first impressions, most people assume they're about confidence, charm, or saying the right thing. But psychologically, first impressions are far more revealing than that. They expose emotional priority. A man's greeting is often the clearest window into how much importance he places on a woman in that exact moment. When a man secretly likes a woman, his brain does not treat her like just another social interaction. It flags her as significant. And significance always changes behavior. Here's why this matters. Human attention is limited. We don't consciously invest energy into every interaction we have. But when emotion enters the picture, especially attraction mixed with uncertainty, the brain allocates more focus. That focus shows up immediately in how a man greets a woman he likes. He may not be aware of it, but his nervous system is already activated. His posture adjusts, his timing shifts, and his awareness sharpens. This is not performance, it's instinct. Men who feel emotionally invested often experience a subtle internal pressure during greetings. They want to make a good impression, but they also don't want to reveal too much. That internal conflict creates observable signals, a slightly slower approach, a pause before speaking, or a greeting that feels more deliberate than casual. Even something as simple as remembering how you like to be greeted, formal, playful, warm, shows that you've been mentally noted. And mental noting is emotional investment. What's important to understand is that attraction doesn't make men louder or bolder first, it often makes them more careful. A man greeting a woman he doesn't care about operates on autopilot. The greeting is fast, habitual, and emotionally flat. But when feelings are involved, autopilot turns off. He becomes more intentional with his tone and body language because subconsciously, he's protecting something, the possibility of connection. Eye contact is a major indicator here. When a man secretly likes a woman, eye contact during a greeting tends to be more focused and slightly prolonged, not in a dramatic way, but enough to register. This happens because attention narrows around what feels emotionally meaningful. Similarly, his voice may soften or lower. Studies in communication psychology show that people unconsciously modulate their voice when speaking to someone they care about, signaling safety and sincerity rather than dominance. Another overlooked detail is emotional availability in the greeting. A man who likes a woman often greets her as if the moment matters more than what he was doing before. He may pause his phone use, shift his body fully toward her, or engage with a genuine question rather than a filler phrase. This shift indicates priority. Emotionally invested men don't multitask during greetings, they arrive. This doesn't mean every warm greeting equals romantic interest. Context and consistency matter, but when a greeting repeatedly carries intention, presence, and a subtle sense of care, it reflects emotional weight. Men don't expend that level of attention without reason. Attention is costly, and the brain only pays that cost for things it values. It's also important to note that emotional investment often appears before confidence does. A man might not flirt, compliment, or escalate, but his greeting will still reveal him. That's because greetings are reflexive. They happen before strategy kicks in. Before he decides what role he should play, his emotions already show up in how he acknowledges you. Understanding this helps women stop overanalyzing words and start observing behavior. A man's greeting is not about impressing you, it's about how he feels when he sees you. And feelings, especially unspoken ones, have a way of leaking out early, quietly, and consistently. When a greeting feels intentional, grounded, and emotionally present, it's often because you already matter more than he's ready to admit. When a man tries to keep his attraction hidden, his behavior doesn't disappear, it changes shape. This is where understanding subconscious behavior becomes powerful. Hidden attraction creates internal tension. On one side, there's desire and curiosity. On the other, there's restraint, fear of exposure, or uncertainty about how safe it is to reveal interest. That tension doesn't cancel attraction, it redirects it. and the redirection shows up most clearly in subtle behavioral adjustments. Men who secretly like a woman often become more controlled rather than more expressive. Instead of being openly flirtatious, they regulate themselves. This can look like measured speech, reduced joking, or a more composed demeanor. The reason is psychological. When something matters emotionally, people try not to mess it up. That leads to self-monitoring. He may replay his words mentally before saying them, or hold back natural impulses that might reveal too much too soon. One of the biggest behavioral shifts is inconsistency in ease. Around people he doesn't care about, his behavior is smooth and automatic. Around a woman he secretly likes, there may be brief moments of hesitation, small pauses, delayed responses, or an awkward transition. These are not signs of disinterest. They are signs of emotional filtering. His brain is checking each action before allowing it to pass through. Another subtle change appears in boundaries. A man hiding attraction often becomes either slightly more respectful or unusually cautious with physical and emotional space. He may stand at a thoughtful distance, avoid overly casual touches, or become more polite than the situation requires. This happens because attraction activates protective instincts. He doesn't want to risk rejection, misinterpretation, or crossing a line that could change the dynamic too quickly. Some men respond to hidden attraction by doing the opposite, becoming more neutral or even distant. This is not emotional withdrawal, it's emotional containment. When feelings feel inconvenient, risky, or unexpected, distancing becomes a coping mechanism. He may shorten interactions, keep conversations practical, or limit emotional exposure. Yet within that restraint, you'll often notice heightened awareness. He notices your mood, remembers details, or reacts subtly to your presence. Another key indicator is selective attention. Even when he appears reserved, he is often highly attuned to the woman he likes. He notices changes in her tone, her energy, or her availability. He may not comment on these observations, but his behavior adjusts in response. This is because attraction heightens sensitivity. The mind becomes more alert to emotional cues when someone matters. Men hiding attraction also tend to mirror behavior more unconsciously. They may match your pace of speech, your emotional tone, or your level of seriousness. This mirroring isn't intentional, it's a biological response linked to connection and empathy. Even while trying to stay neutral, the body aligns with what it feels drawn to. It's important to understand that secrecy doesn't equal manipulation. In many cases, men hide attraction because they are still processing it themselves. They may be unsure of timing, circumstances, or their own readiness. So instead of acting boldly, they observe. They test internally before they test externally. This internal testing shows up as watchfulness, patience, and subtle consistency rather than dramatic gestures. What reveals hidden attraction over time is not intensity but pattern. If his behavior shifts only with you, becoming more controlled, more thoughtful, more aware, that's meaningful. Men don't subconsciously regulate themselves around people who don't emotionally affect them. Emotional neutrality produces ease. Emotional attraction produces adjustment. Understanding this helps reframe confusing behavior. The absence of obvious flirting doesn't mean absence of interest. Often, it means presence of something he's not ready to name yet. Hidden attraction doesn't go quiet, it goes careful. And careful behavior, when consistent, is one of the clearest signs that emotions are already involved, even if they remain unspoken. When it comes to attraction, nervousness and casual ease are not opposites. They exist together in a delicate balance, especially when a man secretly likes a woman. Understanding this balance is crucial because it reveals how genuine feelings manifest in behavior. On one hand, nervousness shows up as subtle hesitation, minor fidgeting, or a slight tension in voice or posture. On the other hand, casual ease, confident body language, natural gestures, or relaxed tone signals that he is trying to remain composed, to manage his emotions so they don't overwhelm the interaction. This mix is often more revealing than overt flirtation, because it reflects the real inner conflict between desire and control. Nervousness appears in the smallest ways. He might pause slightly before responding to a question, as if thinking not just about what to say, but about how it will be received. He may laugh a little too quickly, or smile more frequently, as a way to bridge the tension he feels inside. Even subtle physical gestures, like running a hand through his hair, adjusting his clothing, or shifting his weight while standing, often signal underlying emotion. These micro behaviors are instinctual. They occur before conscious control has fully engaged, and they are highly reliable indicators of emotional investment. Casual ease, on the other hand, is what makes the interaction feel natural despite underlying nervousness. It's the ability to maintain conversation without stumbling over words, to gesture confidently without being rigid, or to hold eye contact without overthinking. This ease is not absence of emotion. Rather, it's a mask of control layered over it. Men who secretly like a woman often work hard to maintain this ease because they are aware, even unconsciously, that overt nervousness can reveal more than they are ready to admit. They are negotiating between being seen and keeping their emotions contained, and that negotiation creates the delicate rhythm of nervousness and casual ease. What makes this balance so telling is that it is rarely consistent across all interactions. Around people he doesn't care about, casual ease dominates. There is little tension to regulate. Around a woman he secretly likes, however, the nervousness creeps in, creating small but noticeable variations in behavior. For instance, he may seem relaxed one moment and slightly hesitant the next, or he may joke casually but quickly self-correct if he feels he's overstepped. These fluctuations are subtle signals that his mind is actively processing attraction while trying to maintain composure. The tension between nervousness and casual ease also influences verbal behavior. He may speak in measured tones, choosing words carefully, yet inject small spontaneous comments that reveal his attention. He might ask questions that seem casual on the surface but indicate genuine curiosity about your thoughts and feelings. His voice may occasionally falter or rise slightly in pitch when he feels particularly engaged or vulnerable, signaling emotional arousal that he is trying to temper. These verbal cues, when combined with physical behavior, provide a complete picture of hidden interest. Another layer to consider is timing. Nervousness often causes a man to unconsciously pause or hesitate, creating moments of heightened awareness. These pauses are rarely random. They are brief windows when his attention is entirely focused on the woman he likes. Casual ease overlays these pauses, giving the impression that the interaction is natural and comfortable, even though internally his mind is balancing multiple layers of emotion, self-monitoring, and social awareness. The more subtle and careful these behaviors are, the more likely they indicate genuine attraction rather than performance or habit. It's also important to recognize that this nervous, casual balance is different for every individual. Some men show more visible nervousness, while others lean heavily on casual ease, masking almost all of their tension. Observing patterns over time is key. Repeated displays of nervousness coupled with efforts to maintain ease consistently point toward emotional investment. In contrast, interactions with people who do not matter tend to lack this duality. They are stable, predictable, and low stakes. Understanding this balance helps decode what might otherwise seem like contradictory behavior. Nervousness is not weakness, it is evidence that he cares. Casual ease is not disinterest, it is evidence that he is managing that care. When these two forces coexist in a greeting, conversation, or interaction, they reveal a man who is emotionally engaged, aware of his feelings, and subtly navigating how to show them without overexposing himself. Recognizing this balance allows a woman to see attraction not just in what is said, but in the emotional tension underlying every gesture, every word, and every glance. Attention is one of the most revealing indicators of genuine interest, yet it is also one of the easiest to overlook. When a man secretly likes a woman, the way he directs his attention often changes in ways that are subtle but unmistakable if you know what to look for. This is because attention is not merely a conscious choice, it is a reflection of what the brain considers valuable or significant. A man's mind automatically prioritizes the people, events, and details that matter emotionally, and this prioritization often leaks into behavior long before he openly acknowledges it. When a woman becomes the focus of that attention, even small gestures, eye movements, or conversational habits carry meaning far beyond surface-level social norms. One of the most noticeable aspects of attention is how fully present a man is in the moment. When he is genuinely interested, he is not thinking about what to say next, scrolling through his phone, or mentally multitasking. His focus is on her, the way she talks, the expressions she uses, and the subtle shifts in her mood or tone. This kind of presence cannot be faked convincingly for long periods because it is deeply rooted in emotional investment. Even if he tries to appear casual or indifferent, the brain's prioritization shows up in micro behaviors like leaning slightly forward, tracking her movements with his eyes, or adjusting his posture to align with her energy. Attention also reveals itself through memory and recall. A man who secretly likes a woman often remembers small details about her, things she mentioned in passing, preferences she has, or moments that seemed inconsequential at the time. When he brings these details up later, it signals that his mind has been actively processing and storing information about her, a hallmark of emotional significance. This is different from polite conversation or social etiquette. It is attention driven by genuine interest, not obligation. The more nuanced the details he recalls, the stronger the indication that his focus on her is personal rather than generic. Attention can be observed in conversational behavior. He may ask questions that go beyond surface level interaction, demonstrating curiosity not just about her words, but about her experiences, thoughts, and feelings. The timing and phrasing of these questions often indicate that he has been listening carefully and that he values the information he gathers. Unlike casual acquaintances who ask routine or perfunctory questions, a man with hidden interest tends to ask questions that create deeper engagement, signaling that his attention is both active and selective. Body language is another channel through which attention manifests. Subtle mirroring, the orientation of his body toward her, and even micro-expressions are all reflections of where his mental energy is directed. When a man is genuinely focused, he often unconsciously mimics the gestures, posture, and speech rhythms of the woman he likes. This mirroring is a biological response that fosters connection and signals alignment. Even when he attempts to remain neutral, attention-driven behaviors emerge because emotional focus is difficult to suppress completely. Attention also extends to emotional attunement. A man who secretly likes a woman is often highly sensitive to her emotional state. He notices shifts in tone, mood, or energy and adjusts his behavior accordingly, sometimes offering reassurance, changing the subject, or responding with empathy. These subtle adaptations indicate that he is not only aware of her presence, but also invested in how she experiences the interaction. Emotional attunement is rarely conscious. It is the natural outcome of a brain prioritizing someone of significance. It is important to recognize that this level of attention is both consistent and selective. A man may show genuine focus in one interaction and appear distant in another if circumstances or environment distract him, but the pattern emerges over time. If he consistently demonstrates heightened awareness, responsiveness, and curiosity specifically toward the woman he likes, it is a strong indicator of emotional interest. Attention in this context is not about grand gestures or verbal declarations. It is about presence, observation, and responsiveness that indicate emotional value. Attention is the lens through which genuine attraction can be understood. It reveals priorities, emotional investment, and subconscious valuation in ways that words alone cannot. When a man secretly likes a woman, his attention shifts, often subtly but consistently, reflecting that she matters to him more than he may ever explicitly say. By observing the ways in which attention manifests in focus, memory, conversation, body language, and emotional attunement, a woman can gain insight into a man's feelings even before they are openly expressed. Attention, in this sense, is the silent language of attraction, quietly broadcasting desire and significance with every look, gesture, and moment of genuine presence. Consistency is one of the most powerful yet often overlooked indicators of genuine emotional interest. While grand gestures or flashy statements can grab attention, they are not reliable measures of real investment. What truly reveals a man's feelings is not a single impressive action, but the pattern of behavior over time. Consistency shows that the emotions driving his actions are stable and intentional, rather than fleeting or situational. When a man secretly likes a woman, his efforts, attention, and subtle behaviors appear repeatedly and predictably, even in small, seemingly insignificant moments. It is in these moments that genuine interest quietly announces itself. The principle behind this is rooted in psychology. People naturally gravitate toward what they value, and they allocate their time and energy accordingly. When attraction exists, a man will make repeated efforts, sometimes unconsciously, to engage with the woman he likes. These efforts are not always loud or overt. They may include consistently greeting her warmly, checking in on details she mentioned previously, or subtly adjusting his behavior to align with her mood and preferences. Each individual act might seem minor on its own, but when observed over time, the pattern becomes unmistakable. Consistency also applies to emotional engagement. A man who is emotionally invested will display similar levels of care, focus, and attentiveness across multiple interactions. This does not mean he is perfectly composed or that he never has off days. Rather, the baseline of his interest is evident. Even when circumstances change, he may be busy, distracted, or stressed. The underlying behaviors that reflect his feelings persist. He remembers your details, acknowledges your presence meaningfully, and maintains subtle but recognizable signals of interest, which collectively demonstrate a level of reliability that casual acquaintances rarely achieve. One of the clearest examples of consistency is in responsiveness. When a man likes a woman, he will respond to her messages, invitations, or interactions in a predictable way. He may not reply instantly every time, but there is a rhythm, a pattern that indicates he values communication with her. Random or inconsistent responses, on the other hand, can signal indifference or casual interest. The key is the alignment between intention and action. True emotional investment manifests in repeated, recognizable behaviors that signal priority, regardless of external distractions or competing commitments. Consistency also shows itself in attention to detail. When a man secretly likes a woman, he will repeatedly notice the little things, her mood, her expressions, the way she reacts to certain topics, or the preferences she has mentioned before. These observations are not one-off events, they reappear in future interactions. He might recall an anecdote she mentioned weeks ago, or notice a subtle change in her appearance. This kind of ongoing attentiveness is a hallmark of someone emotionally invested, because it reflects a sustained mental focus on her as a priority, not just a fleeting curiosity. Consistency is expressed in the alignment of words and actions. A man who secretly likes a woman will not only say things that indicate interest, but will back them up with behavior over time. He may compliment her, make time for her, or engage in small acts of care, and these behaviors recur in ways that are natural and genuine. When verbal statements, actions, and body language align consistently, they provide undeniable evidence of real emotional involvement. In contrast, charm or attention without consistency is often performative and lacks depth. It is also important to note that consistent behavior fosters trust. The repeated demonstration of interest communicates reliability, emotional stability, and genuine desire. When a man's actions consistently reflect his feelings, it signals to the woman that he is emotionally invested and that his intentions are not temporary or superficial. Over time, this builds a foundation of trust and clarity, even in situations where words remain limited or unspoken. Consistency is the silent language of emotional authenticity. A single gesture or moment can be impressive, but it is the repeated patterns, the steady, predictable attention, care, and engagement that truly reveal a man's interest. For a woman observing a man's behavior, noticing these recurring signs is far more instructive than trying to interpret one isolated interaction. Consistency demonstrates that his feelings are not fleeting or performative, they are deliberate, sustained, and deeply rooted. By recognizing this, one can discern true attraction and emotional investment, even when it is being carefully hidden behind subtlety or restraint. When we step back and look at the full picture, the way a man secretly likes a woman is rarely shouted. It is quietly revealed through behavior, attention, and emotional patterns. From the very first greeting, to the subtle shifts in body language, to the careful balance between nervousness and ease, and through consistent attention and repeated small gestures, his feelings become visible without a single explicit declaration. Attraction changes how he behaves, how he prioritizes you, and how he navigates moments with you, even when he tries to hide it. Understanding these signs helps women see beyond words and notice the underlying emotional truth. Genuine interest is not about grand statements or one-time actions. It is about presence, intentionality, and consistent patterns over time. When you observe these subtle cues, the way he focuses, adapts, and consistently engages, you can recognize his quiet investment and emotional priority. In the end, attraction is felt long before it is spoken, and his behavior often tells the real story even before he admits it.